false. And there is no such fatwa whatsoever. What's mandatory concerning spending the night at Mina is to spend most of the night. So if the night begins, of course the night begins at sunset, at Maghrib, and it ends at dawn, Fajr. So if it happens to be 12 hours, then midnight 6 hours, and most of the night, if you add an hour extra, more or less, as long as more than half night, this is perfectly fine, and you have fulfilled the mandatory practice of spending most of the night in Mina. As long as you're trying and you didn't get there, there is no blame on you.
Shaykh, the days that follow this are known as Ayyam at-tashreeq. What exactly does this mean?
Ayyam at-tashreeq are the following days to the Eid day. They are 3 days. The 11th, the 12th, and the 13th. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala referred to them in the Quran as saying, وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَاتٍ فَمَنْ تَعَجَّلَ فِي يَوْمَيْنِ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ وَمَنْ تَأَخَّرَ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ لِمَنِ اتَّقَى وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْهِ تُحْشَرُونَ. And remember Allah in a certain number of days. These are Ayyam al-Tashriq, the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th. The remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by making a takbir, wa tahleel, etc. Is recommended throughout the days and the nights, and whether you are in a state of Hajj or not. It's more recommended while you are in Hajj and while you are in Mina, in this very special place. You begin your day by offering each prayer on its proper time, but you shorten the 4 rak'ahs prayer to be only 2. Of course, you pray them in Jama'ah. You're camping day and night in Mina with your group. And you get ready to do the other activities of staying at Mina, which is throwing the stones, al-sughra, al-wusta, al-kubra. The little one, the middle one, and the big one. In order. The one which is closer to Masjed al-Khif in Mina is the little one. You throw it with 7 pebbles, similar to the one which we used in the very first day on the Eid day. The size of the beans. You begin by throwing each one at a time and say, Allahu Akbar. Make sure that it falls in the basin.
Sheikh, are there enough pebbles in Mina that you don't have to worry about
Trust
finding
me,
them
there is plenty, and do not worry about it and do not panic. Only it is restricted to pick up the pebbles from that basin. But all the area around the Jamarat, as long as it's not in the basin, it's valid. You may pick those pebbles from anywhere in Mina for the next 3 days. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in the ayah that if somebody wants to stay the complete course, the 3 days, this is good and there is no blame on him. And if somebody wants to haste, to rush, and to leave early by only staying for 2 days, and leaving before sunset of the 2nd day, it's also permissible and there is no blame on him. However, I came to perform Hajj and this could be my only journey to this place. Why don't you stay the complete course as did the Prophet ﷺ do? You stay the complete course. On each day, you throw the pebbles. There is the ideal time, as we always talk about the ideal time for each activity. The ideal time for the next 3 days is different than, its beginning is different than the first day, which is the Eid day. The Prophet ﷺ waited until the sun moved from the meridian, which is basically Dhuhr time. After Dhuhr, you may start throwing the stones. Its proper time ends at sunset, but it is extended beyond that. So if it is due to the crowding, the rush, or not being healthy, or not being able to throw on the proper time, there is no sin upon you if you throw after sunset and all the way through the night. That gives you a space of freedom and ease so that you don't have to push yourself among the crowd. If you go at night, it's much easier and better. And of course, it's mild, it's not as hot as during the daytime. This is the ideal time for throwing. There is another very important thing I would like to discuss, which is this activity, can somebody ask somebody to throw the stones on their behalf? Yes. Who may do so? A person who's weak enough and knows that he will not be able to go there and compete with the crowd to throw the stones. A pregnant woman, a child, an old man, the weak people can ask somebody else to throw on their behalf and give them the pebbles, or ask them to collect the pebbles on their behalf. What is the technique or the mechanism of throwing on behalf of somebody else? By throwing on behalf of yourself first, either by throwing the 3 stones, 3 poles all together, then start over, throw on behalf of the other person, or by throwing on behalf of yourself first, then at the same jamrah, you throw on behalf of the other person, and that's much easier, and it is permissible as well.
It sounds like it may be much safer as well, that you don't have to cycle back around. What about those who choose to leave early on the second day? Is there a certain time limit for them? Is there certain rules governing what qualifies as the second day?
If somebody chooses to leave on the second day and before completing the course, it is permissible, but in a condition that they should not remain until the night of the third day of Ayyam at-tashreeq. So what happens is, before sunset, they should leave and make their way out of Mina. You mentioned earlier that what is the reference of or the meaning of the word tashreeq. Linguistically, tashreeq is from mashraq in Arabic, which is the sunrise. The Arab back then would slaughter their Hajj and they would spread the meat in the sun with some salt on it to dry it, so that it would be like qadid. The Prophet ﷺ said that, I'm just a son of a woman who used to eat al-qadid in Mecca, the dried meat. So that's why they call it Ayyam at-tashreeq, because they used to spread the meat which they slaughtered during the days of Ayyam at-tashreeq.
Well, Shaykh, we really appreciate this explanation of these important days. We're very close to the end of Hajj, but unfortunately we are at the end of this episode, so we'll continue in the next episode. Please stay with us then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن